Welcome to the Childcare Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you are a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Sacoccio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Childcare Director's Chair.
Hey guys, it's Erica here with the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. We are wrapping up over at the maineaeyc. We have amazing educators that have been sitting in the seats yesterday and today, and this one is no different. I am really excited to introduce my friend to you. She is a parent advocate, and I'll give her a little opportunity to talk about what she's been doing in the field.
Yes, my name is April Tardiff, and I have been working really hard with Maine State Parent Ambassadors to really educate and teach parents with children 8 years and younger how they can advocate not only for themselves, but their children and their families. And we really meet them where they're at and help with like stipends and mileage reimbursement. And it's a year-long course, and we just mentor parents, guardians. Really doesn't matter who you are. You could be a grandparent with a child, foster parent, and we just encourage them to believe in themselves more, give them the communication skills to give them the confidence to be able to advocate, and then also give them policy and legislation information so that they can advocate in other areas if they wish to. And just really try to empower them to feel confident in themselves, their lived experience, and what they're going through.
Yeah. We have a lot of things in common. Tell folks a little bit about what made you become a parent advocate.
So becoming a mom in late 2021, coming off maternity leave was a huge challenge getting out of COVID. There was no availability. There was no access to childcare from me in the area that I was in. And that being said, my position at the career that I had worked so hard for. It was a very demanding position, and they didn't have the time or the staff to accommodate me being gone any longer than that maternity leave time. So I was asked to sign a resignation letter for the career that really made me believe in myself more. They were training me to be the supervisor, and it was really hard to say goodbye to that work family. And I was like, okay, so now I need to pivot. How am I going to get childcare? Where do I need to get childcare? And so I found out that the only way really towards the end of COVID is if you want childcare full time, you might have to work in childcare. And I was like, okay, career change, but this is going to be so great for my family, myself, everything. Got in there and found out it was a burning bridge. The staff members were not supported. The facility didn't have a lot of support, didn't have a lot of staff members. They were really scrambling and scraping to try to provide quality care for the children, but didn't have the resources to do so or the funding. I saw workers that were really passionate about what they do, but didn't even get a 30-minute break for lunch because there wasn't enough staff members inside that facility, not to mention the low pay. So it was like they were trying so hard, but they really needed more support, and they didn't have it. And being a new mom at the time, he was only he was 2 months old. And I tried that job out for a few months, and I really put my all into it, but not being supported in that position and being thrown right into a teacher position, a full-time teacher position. I didn't have all the knowledge I really needed to be able to support those kids, and I felt like I wasn't doing them justice. And I felt like I needed to step away from that position for not only my own mental health, but my son's mental health, because at the end of the day, I would go home and I would cry because I didn't feel supported in that position. I didn't have any knowledge of how to get support in that position. And it was just a really challenging time for me. So after months of battling my brain, because I do not quit things very easily.
Yeah, I get it.
And I was passionate about that job. I had to take myself out. And when I did that, I found out about Maine State Parent Ambassadors and put myself in that area and was educated on all the policy that's happening for early childcare and education and what's happening for the teachers. And that's where like I really wanted to put my time into. I wasn't able to find a place that would support my son. After I quit that location, I did try to put him in another location so that once there was an opening, so that I could then go back to school and figure out what I was going to do for my career path
Sure.
now that I had lost my forever job I thought I would have. And then the childcare didn't work out. So I was like, well, let me go in and educate myself more on how to be a good educator.
Mm-hmm.
And that way I can go back and get a better job and work in that same thing. Um, Starting school, getting my kid into a new location, I found out real quick that there isn't a lot of quality childcare out there that was able to support his high energy. And he got kicked out of 2 different locations. And that was very heart-shaking for me and my family. We had to pivot again, readjust our schedule and accommodate the fact that I was going to be a full-time mom again. And I couldn't like put all my time into school like I thought I would be able to.
Yeah.
So I then became a stay-home mom and really like dug in deep to the advocacy work. Like, what are we doing for our communities and our families, right? What are we doing for our early educators that really want to support these families and these kids, but just aren't supported enough? So for me, it was lack thereof quality childcare. And how do we support these workers in this efforts that they're really trying to push in these places?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the answer really is going to come down to funding, to be able to have not only to pay staff what they're worth, but to have enough staff to give breaks, to have enough staff to have flexibility and fluidity in scheduling. So, like someone like you could go to school. Maybe you can't do 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Maybe it looks like you work part time and the other part time you're in school, right? It
Yeah.
could look different depending on our family's needs and our staffing needs. There's a lot of juggling balls there. I think just like for the teachers, like the resources out there, I think the same thing for programs and admins. There's very limited resources as well. So I think it's the whole system needs supports.
Yeah.
And I love your story. You talk a little bit more about your son because right now statistics are showing that the expulsion rate for children who are 3, 4, and 5 years old is skyrocketing. That's crazy. That's crazy to me,
Yeah.
right? So let's talk a little bit more. Like, what did that look like, and what did that feel like when your child was like dismissed from a program?
It felt horrible. It felt like at first it felt like I was a failure as a mom
Sure.
and and everything and it was hard for my son. The first place that he didn't work out for us. He was a little bit traumatized by the experience. And then going into the second place, I thought it was magical. It was in a gymnastics location he really loved. And then for them to say that he was too much energy for a gym and kick him out was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I
Right,
thought I
right.
really did the knowledge there. So it really made me go back to I had a at-home visitor through Maine Families at the time, and she was really helpful. And then also, parent ambassador, like the resources that I received from being in a parent leadership program, was huge.
I love that you even have one. We don't have one of those in Rhode Island I mean, we have RIPIN, but I don't know that they have a leadership program.
Yeah, and every state needs a leadership program for
Yeah,
parents to be able to join. They were able to tell me like, "This isn't your fault as a parent. Like,
sure. No.
this is the system that just doesn't work for us." You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, this is how we need to keep advocating to change it. And then they also let me know like, where you're going through this, you are more than able to give yourself a self referral to CDS.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and being able to have that information that I could just call places like CDS and say, "Hey, I'm having a challenging time and I really need some support."
Yep.
And then being able to get my son evaluated and everything, that was really helpful for me because I had no idea. And when you go to Google things like this,
Yeah.
it's not it doesn't simplify it for you.
Yeah. And
It's more
and when
complicated.
you do get the phone numbers, a lot of places have 3, 4, 5 month wait lists.
Yeah.
And so then you're stuck because as a parent, what do you do? And
Right.
then as a provider that runs a program, what do you do? Because your teacher's like, if I have little Johnny, I'm leaving because I can't manage him and five other children. And I know I've been there. My son ended up actually in a residential program for a while. That's how many supports he needed. and he had to go to special schools.
Yeah.
And so there are special schools out there that have supports, have lower ratios, but again, the wait lists are long.
And to get the evaluations, that's a long wait.
Yeah,
So even though I've called CDS, it's now been over a year since that first time I called
yeah,
them. And we just a couple weeks ago were finally able to find a placement for him. Um, and having that is being life changing, but
yeah,
it took so long to get there.
yeah,
Again, had I not been in these areas where I'm getting this information, I would have been so much more lost as a parent. I wouldn't have called CDS. I wouldn't have reached out
yeah.
like I did. So yeah, again, like just being in these spaces has really helped inform me to be a better parent.
Yeah. For those that are listening that maybe are not from Maine, what does CDS stand for?
Child development services.
Okay. And so what do they do there? What's their primary?
So what they do is help get like an IEP or special
Okay.
services. Maybe they have a bunch of evaluations done and can help get
Okay.
you a diagnosis to help find you some more support. Because
Sure.
sometimes when you have
You need to know what you're dealing with. Right. Of
right,
course.
so for them it was that, and they also can do this for you when you're a first time self referral. They can do it with no cost.
Yeah.
So you can get all these evaluations done without having to pay a ton of fees to get it
Yeah.
done. Um, and they'll help you navigate that. They also help implement an IEP plan. That's an individual education plan
Yeah.
for my son that he needed at 2 years old.
Sure.
Um, he needed the communication between occupational therapy and childcare
Yeah.
to communicate with
Yeah.
one another to really get a solid plan for my kid. He has a sensory diet. He needs, breaks from other kids sometimes when
Yeah.
he's having an issue. Um, and really like and then the communication, like beforehand, I wasn't getting communication on how to make it work better for the school and the teachers.
Yeah.
They were so stressed out that they weren't able to communicate their needs and what they were working on with my kid. So I think that added a layer of challenge for them. But with this IEP plan, now I have one-on-one contact with the teacher every day. We do 30-day meetings where we do another check-in to see, is this plan working for for Grayson? Do we need to pivot? Do we need to change things around a little bit? And I feel like that's really big to help him be successful
Yeah.
in that location.
What do you if you had an opportunity to just leave a message to directors who are listening who are unfortunately in positions where they're letting students go, what would your advice be to them?
Communicate more with the parents, find out what's working for them at home. Um, don't close that door so quickly. If the child is receiving outside services, sign those disclaimers so that you can speak with those other
Yeah.
services and find out what is working. Try not to just close the door so quickly on a child.
Yeah.
Try to really work with those families and find out ways that we can work around this so that children and the families are successful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. All right. So here's probably the hardest question of the day. Are you ready? What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
My favorite kind of ice cream is Shane's, and it's the espresso chip. It's got chocolate covered coffee beans
Okay.
inside the coffee ice cream, and it's really good.
Yeah, okay. I've been taking a poll here in Maine. So far it has been coffee ice cream was at the top of the list. Black raspberry ice cream, chocolate chip cookie dough.
Yeah, I feel like
Those
those
have
are
been
all
the favorite. These are
popular.
the very important questions I need to know over here at Maine AEYC. But all kidding aside, thank you so much for sharing your story. I hope that this has impacted the listeners in some kind of way where maybe you think, let's try one more thing before just dismissing a student. And I own childcare center, so I also know the impact it has when you have parents coming in complaining about, little Johnny. Johnny's always in trouble. It's Johnny and Susie. Little Johnny threw a toy for the third time at their kid, or a teacher who says it's the kid or me. Like, what resources, find out what resources you have before we get to those escalated points, and really try to have some type of system in place for the families, and your teachers and your program, I think is probably good advice.
Yeah.
You guys really have got it together here. I mean, I've learned about so many resources in my little trip in my 2 days here, but you guys are doing an extraordinary job. So thank you for coming to the mic, sharing your voice. And for all of you that are listening, as always, I love you and have a great day.
that's a wrap for this episode of the Childcare Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Sacoccio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.